Thank you very much. Just to start with an apology, those of you who are at the APSI conference, I did do these slides at the APSI conference, so kind of as per the last speaker, feel free to kind of get yourself on your phone and do your emails if you've heard this. I don't want to bore anyone to tears. Yeah, this is just really, as it says, really about securing internal buy-in for net zero. And I know a lot of the slides so far have been focused on kind of external community engagement. This is about the kind of the internal side of things. Just for context, those of you that don't know Redcar and Cleveland Council, we're a small North East authority, as you know, I would think. We've got the same financial pressures that everybody else does. We've taken extraordinary financial support this year. We, or the council, made a pre-COVID commitment to carbon neutrality, then COVID hit. So the point at which I sort of took up responsibility, we'd done a grand total of about sod all to kind of tackle climate change, despite having made a kind of significant commitment to it. So as a consequence of that, there was no budget, there was no team capacity, there was no senior management representation, there literally was nothing. So we were kind of starting from scratch. So I wanted to try and give you that context. And also we're not the sort of the paragon of virtue. There's lots that we don't do so well. There's lots of things that we aren't managing. But this is just a little bit about our own experiences of quite successfully, I think, in getting that internal buy-in. So just a little bit about sort of blowing our own trumpet just in terms of the achievements that we've had. So since 2019, we've overall dropped the emissions by 17,000 tonnes of CO2. I think the point, and this will link to what I'm about to say to you, the utility spend would be £2.2 million more had it not been for the work of the team. And that was a really, really important factor in our success, that sort of stat. We've got 36 electric vehicles on the fleet now. We've got 5 using HVO. We're having internal conversations about whether HVO could be rolled out more extensively across the fleet. We're only in a position to be able to have that type of conversation because there isn't like a return on investment on that because of the successful engagement that we've had. 1,800 panels, solar panels on our buildings. We've had low carbon road resurfacing schemes, one of which was featured in Top Gear magazine. I was pleased to see. I was very excited one day when I was looking at Top Gear magazine online, and there we were. I didn't even know that was going to be reported. We've got a sustainability design guide and an embodied carbon design guide that all of our kind of regeneration projects now use. Any building project needs to meet certain standards. And what we found is that Leeds University sort of mentioned it as an example of good practice on their architecture course. Again, something that happened organically, we didn't particularly push it. And we've achieved all that with 71% grant funding, which again links to what I'm about to say. So the key element, if you took nothing away from this sort of presentation other than one thing, it would be this: don't make it about morality. Don't try and convince people that there's this moral crusade that they need to go on with you. Don't try and persuade people to think the way that you think. We're all bought into it. We all understand climate change is a thing and it's important to us. But it was pretty clear to me pretty early on that there was some people that didn't give a monkeys, if I'm being polite, about the climate change agenda. So what we needed to do was we needed to find the hook. What was the hook that would get those people to listen to what it was that we were trying to do? And we focused on making sure that it was of interest to them. They don't have to agree with you. They don't have to be bought into the climate change journey. As long as they're going in the same direction that you're going, that is the key thing. So what we did was we made it about efficiency, because what we discovered quite quickly was the climate change agenda and successfully delivering against the climate change agenda and not doing anything groundbreaking. I'm not going to stand here and say we've done anything completely revolutionary. We put in solar panels, we put in air source heat pumps, we've lowered the overall consumption of the council, excuse me, we've decarbonised the fleet and made it run better. It's the best efficiency programme your council's going to get, because it was for us as well. Despite all of the financial challenges and all of the kind of schemes to save money and things, we're the ones that have saved more than just about any other scheme going, and we've done it with 71% grant funding. So that got the accountants interested, and that got the senior boards interested, and once they were interested and they were engaged with it, there's a ripple effect down the organisation. So a few things that worked: having executive representation and influence. So I'm not taking a huge amount of credit for all of this because the team are absolutely fantastic. But once they'd appointed somebody into my post, which as it turned out was me, it was helpful to have somebody at the right tables, having the right types of conversation. And I think probably having that pragmatic approach, not trying to go in there on a white charger and say, you all need to come along with me on this kind of hair shirt journey. It wasn't about that. It was just trying to say, we should be doing this thing regardless of whether you agree with the journey or not. Regardless of whether you're a flat earth, member of the Flat Earth Society or not, you need to come with us on this one because it'll save you money. You need to be interested in it. We had an idea about what we wanted to do. We understood the projects that we wanted to do, and it was a long list, a very long list of things that we wanted to do, some of which we knew we wouldn't be able to achieve, but it allowed us to be agile. So when we understood the funding landscape, because obviously under the Conservative government, there was quite a lot of like, here's some money, you need to spend it yesterday, quick. So there was a lot of that going on, and we were able to pivot quite quickly to respond to the funding opportunities that were there, because we had this long list and we understood all of the things, the variety of things that were on that list. We were able to pivot quite quickly. Once we gained trust, we were able to go anywhere. We are now in a position where I can walk into any other team and sort of say, hi, we want to do this thing. And that's because we built up the trust with those teams by being self-aware and being supportive. So the team have helped people with funding bids. They've written the bids for teams. So they might have been wanting to apply for something. We've said, you need to put a climate spin on it. We need some funding in there for a climate element to it. We'll write the bid for you. So because we were helping them out, there's a bit of mutual back scratching that went on. And it wasn't about doing unto people, and it wasn't about telling them how they needed to do things or a moral crusade. It was just about, we're all kind of pulling in the same direction to achieve what it is that you want to achieve. Other things that worked, as it says there, don't underestimate the power of competition internally and of professional jealousy. We used that, and we wrung as much out of it as we could. So we found that when we were engaging with our regeneration colleagues to produce the design guides that I mentioned earlier, we did a lot of time sort of trumpeting what they were doing and lauding them across the council. And our engineers, highways engineers, being competitive souls, didn't like the fact that they were getting a lot of kudos from it. So they started saying, well, what can we do? They've then sort of taken it upon themselves to come up with low carbon road resurfacing schemes. They did their own research. They came to us and said, this looks interesting. Like, this company say that it's a kind of world first, shall we trial it? So we said, yeah, absolutely, how can we help you? And that level of competition has meant that they've now put, this scheme works, we'll try another one. They've now got 3 or 4, I think, low carbon road resurfacing schemes. And what became really clear was they wanted us to trumpet them as much as we trumpeted the regeneration colleagues. So we made sure we did that via internal comms. Obviously there was the Top Gear magazine thing, etc., etc. So that sort of professional competitiveness worked well, but it only worked well because we were pushing against open doors. Anyone that wasn't interested, anyone who didn't want to engage, ignored, move on. Which brings me on to the professional jealousy aspect. When we were introducing electric vehicles to the fleet, there was a whole group of staff members who just didn't care, weren't interested, don't want to do that, newfangled, not interested, fine. Ignored, moved on. We found a team who were really, really keen on it, really kind of engaged with it. We worked hard to sort of sell the virtues of the EVs, the fact that, you know, the acceleration, stupid things like, oh, that's quick off the mark, isn't it? That's the sort of day-to-day thing that really engaged them. We made sure that there were EV chargers in place. We've made sure that there were staff members who had, we support them to have like home EV charging if it worked for them. And then suddenly there's this team who had brand new vans, new chargers, and you know, all the chatter in the staff room was like, oh, bloody hell, it's quick off the mark, this, all that sort of thing. And then suddenly we had the naysayers going, well, I want one of them. Oh, you didn't want one before. Suddenly they were engaged, they were jealous. So once they were jealous, we got them, and that was their hook. Their hook was that sort of level of interest. Sequencing's important. We delivered successful return on investment projects. We focused laser-like on just delivering them, just delivering a return on investment, got the accountants interested, got the senior officers interested in it. And because I was there at that table, I could detect that it was genuine interest in it rather than just kind of lip service. Once we've got that kind of level of kind of interest in it, then we're in the position where we can start talking about things that perhaps don't deliver a return on investment but are as equally as important, biodiversity schemes and so forth. And I did say that it was laser-like focus. Recognise you can't do everything. You will get criticism. You can never do enough. That's the sort of nature of the climate emergency, isn't it? You can never, ever do sufficient. So we had to be really realistic from the start about we would get some criticism for the things that we didn't do, and we've just got to own that. One of the things I said to some of our critical councillors quite early on was, we don't have enough resources to do all the things that you want, and also to spend the time that you want us to spend talking about the strategy and the strategy documentation and all the kind of paperwork that goes with it. We can either produce a really, really straightforward strategy and get on with doing stuff, or I can talk a really, really good shift about all the stuff we're going to do and not do anything. So it's either doing something or it's planning something and talking about it, but I can't do both. So we focused on doing, and I kind of got their buy-in for that one. Staffing-wise, we've got a blend. We've got a blend of skill sets. We've got a blend of personality types. It's not people who have climate change as a sort of a passion, but we've got an energy manager in the team who started out as an apprentice and has worked their way through to managing the team. We've got former engineer. We've got somebody who used to work in IT. It's a real blend, and it's a real blend of different personality types. I think there's a consensus, though, that they're all kind of pretty conscientious, they're pragmatic, they understand the approach that we're adopting, and they're not trying to like sell the climate change message to people. They're trying to sell the efficiency journey to people, and they're prepared to sort of sit down and work with people, and they're not... it's that thing you sometimes encounter with IT people. You can get somebody who's brilliant IT, but they can't turn that into kind of effective delivery with people who aren't IT, because there's a language disconnect in the middle, and these people are able to sort of bridge that gap really, really well. And there's a mixture. There's people who understand the organisation, lifers like myself, who kind of get the way that the organisation works and its individual characteristics, and new people from outside of the organisation who've got really, really great ideas about how to take things forward. Very quickly, we've then embedded things. Once we've got that like level of success, we've weaved the message into the organisational fabric. So it's now part of the induction for new members of staff. It's part of the procurement process. All of the kind of documentation for getting things approved from a capital perspective, the sections on climate change. We've now weaved it into everything, so that even if you're not engaged in it, you're going to need to justify why the thing that you want to do meets our climate change objectives. That's taken time, clearly, but that's the sort of stage that we're at now. Carbon literacy training's really helped. The team have just now been trained as carbon literacy trainers. So as well as being accredited, they can deliver the message internally, and they're starting to do that. So we'll go for bronze accreditation for the organisation later on this year, and I think we should be in a position to get it. And our elected members are now starting to get that training too as well. And just be shameless self-promoters. That's the other thing I would say. Every single time there's anything, make sure you're talking about it. It doesn't have to be we, it needs to be there, because you need to tub thump for all the people that are kind of going to support you internally, but just be relentless about it. Lots of sound bites, like the sorts of things you saw on the early slide about our achievements. Quantify the successes in terms of financial savings. Things like that mean something to the people that you're trying to win over. So making sure that you've got that and just keep hammering that message home is really, really important. And please get in touch, because I appreciate that's an absolute whistle-stop tour through everything. So you've got my contact details. Please get in touch if there's any other questions that you have.